Good evening. As we head into the November international break, the table is starting to take shape, and it's been a significant day at the top and the bottom of the Premier League. 5 games to bring you on tonight's match of the day, and we are not short of talking points for Wayne Rooney and Danny Murphy. We begin at the Etihad. Third place Manchester City began the day a point ahead of 6th placed Liverpool, both looking to make up some ground on Arsenal, who drew at Sunderland yesterday. Commentary comes from Guy Mowbray.
Boss today as well, so it's a double. Does this team and the way it's playing right now, does that give you the energy to think, well, there's plenty more to go yet?
The season for sure. I don't want to be sacked, I would say. Yeah, so just can say thank you to the players, staff, our groom staff to give me that present. I'm so proud to do it here in Manchester with my City.
They had a better game plan than us, maybe. Or not maybe, they had that. City being 2-0 up at half-time was a fair reflection of the score, but it's not always about a fair reflection of how you play. Sometimes a set piece can influence the game massively, and that's what could have happened. But I can't agree with the decision being made on that 1-1, because for me, that's a goal. Immediately after the game, people showed me the goal City made at Wolves away last season. For me, that is a quite similar one.
Player of the match was Jeremy Doku. What has he added to his game this season? It looks as though he's gone up at least one level.
I know I'm good, but don't overestimate me, because the players, we don't do that to the players. The players do it for itself. Do you think I teach him to, when dribble the opponents? And this is the natural talent. And I'm really pleased because he played an outstanding game.
Do you feel as though yourself and the team have gone up a level in confidence and in performances?
Yeah, every game we're starting to get better. We know who we're playing with, and I think everybody knows their task, and we're delivering it.
Well, that ended a 4-game winless run for Manchester City against Liverpool. Impressive all over the pitch, but Jeremy Doku in particular at times completely mesmerising and unplayable.
He was exceptional, as was the whole Manchester City team, to be honest. I think they dominated Liverpool in all departments, irrelevant of decisions going the wrong way or right way.
We'll get on to that.
And we'll get on to that. But especially the right side for Liverpool, where I thought Conor Bradley was left isolated, hung out to dry at times, and I'm going to show you why. Early in the game, Doku, he started the game electric. He was demanding the ball. Bradley's trying to pick up Doku, think, where is he? But he's so occupied with O'Reilly as well on the left side. He's caught in between a lot, so he can't quite get tight. He's not sure what to do. Talk about switched on early in the game. Doku nicking the ball off Gravenberch, I think it is there. Going past people, using his strength. It's the start of things to come. Again, one-on-one here, he's making his intent known. I've got the pace, I'm going to beat you, I'm going to run at you, I'm going to use my strength, I'm going to try and make things happen and impact the game. That's poor from Konate, don't get me wrong. And then they get the penalty, which of course they missed. I mean, this can't happen in a game of this quality. You're playing high. Salah's there. I know he's allowed to stay high, but sometimes you have to take responsibility as a player. My fullback's struggling against a wonderful winger. I should get back and help him. Not every time, but sometimes, especially when you're being dominated. Gravenberch is having to get out of that central midfield position to try and get over and help Bradley because he's having a tough time. This is the strength of him, look, incredible. Doesn't mind going on his left foot either, gets another shot away. Second half, more of the same. There you see O'Reilly bombing on, who's been brilliant, by the way, loves getting forward. Doku this time getting in the centre forward position, but again, it's problems for Bradley. And it's not like Liverpool didn't know this. Nico O'Reilly's been terrific. That's why he's in the team. He loves getting forward into these areas. But when he did have help and when he did have good cover, you're still trying to stop this man at the moment who probably had the best game he's ever had in a Manchester City shirt, and I'm not exaggerating. And they just kept finding him. The space was opening up. The more Liverpool were trying to get back into the game. There's the 2v1 again. You can see Gravenberch he's playing his normal position. He's trying to pick up Phil Foden. He's got enough going on. And then again, look, too easy, 2v1. This time, when he scores the goal, I mean, you've got Konate playing centre midfield, you've got Gravenberch as centre back. They're all over the place. And that happened time and time again. Now, I think it's okay at Anfield a lot of the times they dominate the ball, and the majority of teams they play in the Premier League. But when you're playing the best teams, you've got to double up. There it is, 52% down that left-hand side. It's a very deliberate ploy, I think, obviously. But this guy was a pleasure to watch. Irrelevant of who you support and who you wanted to win, you had to admire his skill, pace, bravery, and the goal was just amazing. The numbers are terrific.
Manchester City's dominant attack going down that left-hand side, they're not the only team that's targeted that area this season. We saw that, didn't we, with Chelsea actually saying post-match, that's where we were going to exploit.
Yeah, and I think it was evident again with Bradley. He was isolated, as Daniel said, and I think Salah, he's in the team to score goals and to create goals, and he's been one of the best players in the Premier League over the last 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it's been. But I think in big games you have to double up, you have to get back and help your teammate, because Conor Bradley was having a real tough game today, and then to be left on his own, and Gravenberch was trying his best to help him and get over there, but then that leaves spaces in another position. So I think for Mo Salah, I think he just has to come back and help his teammate.
OK, there was a big decision which affected in Liverpool's minds the direction of travel in the game, and that was the disallowed goal for Virgil van Dijk. So let's have a little look at the wording that is important in the law that relates to this. And then it's offside because making an obvious action which clearly impacts the ability of an opponent to play the ball. So that doesn't require the referee to think that Donnarumma would definitely save it, but only his ability to do so is affected, and particularly by the ducking. But you disagree with that?
Yeah, I don't think it's affected at all. I think when you look at it, and Andy Robertson is in an offside position, but Van Dijk, good movement, really good header, and Donnarumma, so we can see the ball. We know we can see the ball the whole way. And Andy Robertson is to the side of him, and Donnarumma is outstretched. He has a full dive as soon as he can. There's no effect from Andy Robertson on that goal for me, and I think if we see from this next angle, Donnarumma, you see here, he puts all his weight on his right foot, which makes it hard for him to get back across the goal, but he dives as soon as Van Dijk heads the ball, and he's on his way, he's diving, and it's a really good header, and the goal should have stood for me.
And this is Man United's all-time goal scorer and Everton fan, by the way. So you think, I think if he can see it, I can see it.
Yeah, we deliberately split the analysis this way. Now, this is what Arne Slot was talking about, Wayne. This is from last season.
This is worse, I think. So I think that they've got it the wrong way round. I think this actually should be disallowed, because I think Bernardo Silva is involved with the goalkeeper, and now he comes into play. He comes into play here, he's right in the goalkeeper's eye line. So for me, this one shouldn't have stood, and the Van Dijk one should have stood. So this is the confusion which VAR gives us.
This was a VAR overturning Chris Kavanagh's on-pitch decision that day. He was involved coincidentally with both of these. So obviously they feel aggrieved, because the momentum can change, can't it? At 1-0, you get an equaliser, and it does affect the direction of travel in the game.
It would have done, but I mean, unfortunately, the level of Liverpool's performance today probably meant it wouldn't have affected the outcome. I think they got it wrong. He makes some great points. To be fair to the officials, I think the fact they gave the penalty early in the game for a player trying to stay on his feet after getting hit was a good thing for football.
Are Liverpool out of the title race?
Not from a points tally, but from a performance level, yes. They're not playing well enough. They don't look like they're playing well enough to make up the gap. Unfortunately, they're just away from home. They're too easy to play against. They're too wide open and making too many mistakes.
And of course, City are well in it, aren't they? And that was some performance to.
Yeah, I think City's performances over the last few weeks have been great. So I think Arsenal will be nervous, because City are coming up behind them, and it's happened over the last few years to Arsenal. So with City and Pep Guardiola behind you, I think Arsenal will be nervous with City's form.
Yeah, somewhere.
Hello there, welcome along to the Weekend Wrap, where we'll be debating all the biggest talking points across the last few days of Premier League action. Pep Guardiola, Michael Owen, Michael Carrick and Julian Lescott. And they all enjoyed watching the game from the Etihad Stadium, where Manchester City overcame Liverpool pretty confidently in the end, despite missing a penalty early on, which actually wasn't given on field here, Julian, but a good use of VAR for you?
Yeah, I think the right outcome was reached. I didn't see the initial contact, but it was an outstanding performance from Jeremy all afternoon. But yeah, you can see his knee does make contact with his foot, and with an open goal, I don't see why he would be looking to go down.
So Chris Kavanagh advised to have a look, gave the penalty, but Mamardashvili made an excellent save.
Yeah, terrific save. It was a half-decent penalty. I think Haaland will probably be disappointed. Not the most powerful, but it was low. It had to be a good save, and he made it. And at that point, we thought it was going to be a real important part of the game, really, in a big moment. But in the end, it didn't prove to be so important. But they go 1-0 up there, and I'm sure Michael can talk through that for a header, can't you?
Yeah, I didn't think that Erling Haaland knew too much about that. Of course, he was going for the header, but it flicked off Canate just before him. and then went in. So a little bit fortunate.
This is the big talking point.
This is the big talking point of the game, Steve. Yeah, Virgil van Dijk, great header right into the far corner. Of course, Andy Robertson there in front of the goalkeeper in an offside position. Whether he's affecting the goalkeeper in any way, shape or form is the big debate. He's definitely offside, but we see better from this angle. He's not blocking the view at all. He's not making a move towards the ball, which the rule states that if you do, then you can be deemed offside. If anything, he's making a movement away from the ball, and I think it should have been allowed.
And the irony was, Virgil van Dijk deflected that from Nico Gonzalez's shot soon afterwards.
Yeah, I've been there numerous times, and you try to get something on the ball to deflect it away from the goal, but when you are standing in the middle, it's difficult. And then, again, this man of the match, star performer today with this outstanding goal, and a performance he'll really remember, not just a goal, but a solid, consistent, complete performance.
Yeah, he was player of the match before that goal went in, wasn't he? He was brilliant all game, but that was just the icing on the cake. I thought he was the best player on the pitch, and that man, on his 1000th appearance, got one of his best ever results.
Absolutely. Much more to come, but let's get all the reaction, beginning with the Manchester City manager.
Well, Pep, game 1000, win 7-2-6. You looked as you walked around the pitch at the end there like a guy trying to savour every last moment. Did you really enjoy today?
A lot. They gave me a good present, the players, staff, backroom staff, with this performance and against the champions. Still, they are the champions, and they had to do a good performance, and they really defensively, and many good things happen, and the players perform in the highest level, all of them. It's normal. Second half we drop a little bit. Liverpool was better, but really pleased for everything.
So, but as I said, that could have influenced the game in a positive way for us, because in the first half we were so poor. But yeah, a set piece can make a difference, and now we conceded the 2-0 from a set piece, and then that was maybe a fair reflection of the first half, by the way, us being 2-0 down. But that's maybe not where it's about.
OK, well, he was very honest. He was a little bit more than Virgil van Dijk wanted to say. Let's remind you of what the Match Centre put out on social media as the explanation. The referee's call of offside and no goal to Liverpool was checked and confirmed by VAR, with Robertson in an offside position and deemed to be making an obvious action directly in front of the goalkeeper. Do you go along with that, Michael?
No. Directly in front of the goalkeeper? No, I don't. He's obviously making an action to get out of the way. He's not making an action towards the ball, which then would be deemed as an offside infringement. He's not in the line of sight, and you take Andy Robertson off the pitch there, it goes in regardless. He's not, as Arne said, he's not in any way, shape or form affecting the goalkeeper and his decision to dive for that ball. It was a fantastic head. It's going right in the corner. You know, you can see there, Donnarumma gets a good clear sight of it and dives straight away. You know, Andy Robertson doesn't interfere whatsoever with that. He can get nowhere near it. It's a poor decision, I feel. And as I say, he's getting out of the way of it. Now, if he's ducking and then tries to flick it on and misses it, then that's different. That's then making an action towards the ball, and then that qualifies as the rule that makes it an offside decision. But that is quite the opposite, and I thought it was a poor decision. It would have been 1-1. It would have changed the game, no question about it. However, I think Arne Slot, certainly myself, I wouldn't hide behind that excuse. It could have changed the outcome of the game, but Manchester City were the best team.
Let's just remind you of Rule 11 from the offside page of the IFAB handbook, and in particular that very last sentence at the bottom there. It says, making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. Is that reflective of that particular incident, do you think, Jolyon?
I don't think so. I agree with Michael there. I think the wording used to describe what's happened is not accurate in the description of what I've seen. He's moving out of the way, the flight of the ball, and even if Donnarumma is blindsided where Andy Robertson's position is, he's offside, so we shouldn't consider that, because if he does touch the ball, it's then clear. It's then an offside decision to be made. But yeah, I think if he's not involved in any way, the ball still goes into the net and Donnarumma doesn't get there.
Yeah, and for those people that think if you're just standing in an offside position, well, it should be offside anyway. Of course, there was a goal in this exact same fixture last season, which was given. And Szoboszlai scored. So I just, I know it's not exactly the same, scenario. It's not, Curtis Jones isn't ducking out the way, but he is in an offside position. He's not blocking the line of sight. But this one has been given, and I don't, as much as it's not an identical situation, the principles are the same. He's not blocking the sight of the goal. He's got no impact whatsoever, even though he's in an offside position, even though he stood in front of the goal, yet that one's been given. So I do think there are similarities. And as I say, I just think it was a really poor decision.
I totally agree, yeah. I think that they'll look at it and I think they'll probably have a regret on making that decision. I have to say, I think it was wrong. Pretty much everyone says it's wrong, and even I don't think it changed the game. I think City had all the answers today anyway, so we can talk about it and discuss it for what it is. I just think it's pretty clear. That was one instance really that gave Liverpool a bit of hope in the game. Other than that, I thought City were the better team by far.
Let's nip to the Etihad, talk to the former Liverpool striker Robbie Fowler. Rob, did you think at the time in the ground that there was nothing wrong with that goal?
No, I think it was a clear goal. I mean, I understand, and I looked at it, that obviously Andy Robbo was in an offside position, but for me, he's not in the line of even the keeper's sight. The keeper can still see the ball. In fact, he dives to his left and still doesn't get to it. So I just thought it was a poor decision. Obviously, the wording came on the screen. I was a little bit flummoxed actually, because I just didn't understand how they could have come to that conclusion. I mean, there's an argument to say that even if Andy Robbo had stood up, it would have hit him. I think he ducks just for the sake of it, but I mean, it's a poor decision, and I mean, I've said before, I think Liverpool will be due and will get an apology from the PGMOL because, that's not good enough. I mean, that's poor, and I mean, obviously, I know Michael's talking there about Michael Carrick's talking about Liverpool were not great at Manchester City, and they were good value for that. But I mean, that moment could have swayed the game. It could have. I mean, Liverpool momentum going into the half. It might have upped their game a little bit, and it could have been a real pivotal moment in the game.
But it didn't, and they've just lost 4 Premier League away games for the first time in 13 and a half years. Bigger picture, why are they searching for this consistency, do you think?
Yeah, I just think it's obviously square pegs, round holes with some of the players, trying to shoehorn players into positions that they're not really comfortable. You look at obviously Florian Wirtz coming in as this wonderful player, this wonderful technician who's struggling to adapt to life in the Premier League. Whether that's obviously the energy, whether that's the physicality, or whether it's just that there's no absolute space for him to thrive. They've got him playing on the left when really that's not his best position. He's coming in. And obviously there's obviously spaces on the side then, so Liverpool are they haven't got the formation and the tactics to suit the players that they've currently got. I think even the midfield three, and as much as all the plaudits were great and they were so good at midweek against Madrid, I don't think they were great today, and I just felt they were overrun in midfield by City. City did look the best team, City were the best team, and they were good value for the win, but it could have been so much different. But Liverpool just didn't show up today. I've just thought they were very, very predictable.
No, when we look at these numbers, we know how difficult it is to defend the Premier League trophy and win it again, which is why we've seen so many teams in the past. But there we go, the fewest points in the first 11 games, Liverpool 18. There's only 3 teams in history have had fewer. So to try and find that formula, his best 11, fit those new players into a team that aren't winning all the time, it's a big challenge for Arne Slot at the moment.
It is, and it's going to get worse because obviously Isak's on the bench and he's probably going to want minutes as well. So you've obviously got Frimpong will come back from injury. He's another player that will, want to play. He signed as a fullback to replace Trent when really he wasn't a fullback; he was a wing back. So that's a problem straight away. You've got Kerkez, who again struggling, not adapting to the Premier League, but I think he's struggling to adapt to life as a Liverpool player. Obviously, Ekitike has probably been the standout player, of all the players coming in. Florian Wirtz can't, I know he does look out of sorts at the minute. I think he will adapt and get used to it. But out of the 450 million that has been spent on players, I mean, you could only argue saying that Ekitike is really the only one who's brought value.
Rob, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed
Cheers,
for your efforts today. Would you go along with that? I mean, only Ekitike at the moment on paper looks an initial success.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think he's been really good. Obviously, more than 125 million anyway on Isak. He's been injured. He's had no real pre-season. You can make excuses for one or two of them, but I think it's fair to say of all the players so far, then I think Ekitike has been the standout, even though he hardly had a kick today.
And he's gone 5 games without a goal now.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, Arne has gone back to the tried and trusted in recent times. I thought he would stick with the tried and trusted, even more so today. I was surprised that Gakpo didn't play. I said that before the game. It's not hindsight. I was surprised he didn't play and Wirtz did. And especially on the back of 2 really good performances. I mean, that's as good as I've seen Liverpool play against Real Madrid only a few days ago. And then to put in that performance, it's the inconsistency that's the worry at the minute. They do know there's good performances in there. They have played well at times this season, but not enough and not consistently enough.
But from a coaching point of view, that's a challenge, isn't it now? To fit these players in, try and develop relationships, try and find a bit of momentum.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that coming from Liverpool today, to be fair, that performance. I thought on the back of the week they've had, on the back of managing a big game against Madrid in midweek, I thought City topped them on that in terms of dealing with the occasion for what it was, knowing it was a big game, managing that, going into it, the mentality, knowing what it takes to win them type of games. I thought Liverpool going into the game would have carried that over, and that's part of the balance. That's the challenge of a coach, you know, to integrate players in when's a good time, when's not, and actually, if they had got to a draw today out of that game, we probably could still look at it and go, they've come through a tough week. As it stands, because the manner of the defeat today, it highlights things a little bit more, and then the extremities of each kind of decision get a little bit bigger. But it's part of the challenge. The questions are going to be there. They've spent a lot of money and they've had fits and starts and little signs and little shoots. But like Mo said, consistency in a big week, you know, to back that up today on the back of the other 2 would have been perfect. They've not had that. Kind of knocks them. The momentum goes a little bit, and it almost feels like it coming back after internationals. They've almost got to start again and build what they've just had over the last couple of games.
Not for City, though. 7 home wins in a row in all competitions. How good was Jeremy Doku today, Julian?
Yeah, I thought he's outstanding. Standout performance since he's joined. I think we've seen elements of today's performance throughout his time at the club, but we've seen a full, complete performance today. His understanding of when to dribble, which way to dribble, the direction, determination, and then the execution of his final pass or the final action. And I think that's probably the moments that have been in question. I think even there he rode his luck a little bit, but again, he's earned the right to get that penalty, and he didn't stop. And we were speaking at half-time, Bradley wasn't doing that bad in terms of anything wrong. He just wasn't able to compete. We've seen him have an outstanding performance in the week against Vinicius Junior, but I'm assuming you probably thought it was similar, going to be a similar outcome because they are similar profiles, but that performance against Vinicius Junior probably didn't help him because Doku went into that game thinking, I need to be at my game today, and he did that, and he produced moments like this.
Yeah, he hasn't scored in the Premier League since January. If he can add this to his game, City have got a real player on their hands, haven't they?
No, it was a terrific goal. I liked him all day, really. I thought he had a real purpose to his play. He was direct, he was quick, he looked like he was playing with a swagger, he had a confidence, and to top that off, and it'll do them the world of good in a big game like that, to perform like that.
Yeah, very good. Robbie made a good point as well, saying this lad can go either way. He can, you know, I'm sure if you're a defender and you know which way somebody's going to go, then it's much easier to defend them, but you just have no idea. And then added to the fact that he can go left or right, he's quick, and then if he gets you stopped as well, his burst of speed from nothing into top gear is frightening as well. So it's very hard to know how to defend him. You probably need to try to bring him into bodies inside. If you do that, and he curls the ball into the top corner, and as Michael said, if he adds that to his game, then there is no stopping him.
Yeah. What about Erling Haaland's day? Third time in 7 Premier League games he had a penalty saved. and then he scored a goal which you saw straight away, didn't know too much about, but he'll take it.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, it wasn't the worst penalty in the world. Low, hard, goalkeeper goes the right way. And a lot of players will, dip their head if that happens, but he just seems to shrug anything off. He's just got so much belief in his ability. When this went in, it didn't look right to me. I just thought there's something happened there. I think there's been a little flick on from Konate, and when you see it there, it flicks off Konate, and Haaland doesn't have much idea where this is going to go. I think it just hits him on the top of the head and loops in, and when you looks in, there's definitely a little flick from Konate there, and but he's in the right position, and it looped into the back of the net.
And Manchester City put this on social media, one more to go. That is because he's on 99 Premier League goals in just 108 games, and one more. He will be the quickest to 100 goals by some distance, because it took Alan Shearer, the record holder, 124. We were looking before, Michael, at some of the names below him. I mean, the numbers are mind-blowing where Erling Haaland's concerned. Yes, that one was a little bit fortunate, but he will take it.
It's staggering, isn't it? He's just taking it to what's kind of acceptable to the next level, really. And anyone behind him coming, or anyone else in the league, for that matter, is kind of fighting an uphill battle, because it's almost never enough. And that could be compared to the ones below Haaland as a fantastic kind of reward in terms of goals, but he's just taking it to an unbelievable level, and he even misses a penalty, and he probably doesn't mean it, and he still scores a goal today. So other than that, I thought they actually looked after him pretty well. He didn't really get in behind him, so but even on them occasions, he's even if he's quiet, he scores goals even when he doesn't mean it.
However, just to cheer you up, there's one record Erling Haaland cannot get. He cannot be the youngest man to 100 Premier League goals.
Got one record.
You've got one still intact. Yeah. Talking of records, 1,000 games for Pep Guardiola, 33 trophies in that time. You saw at the end, actually, he was taking all this in. Yes, it's a win against Liverpool, but he'll be proud to mark a performance for his landmark day.
Yeah, he often talks about the performance regardless of the result, how proud he is or disappointed. But today he can definitely be proud in that performance, whether they put that in because of the magnitude of the game for him. But I don't know, but in regards to them numbers and that ratio, it's outstanding. Michael obviously has managed and knows how draining it can be. So to have that level of consistency at the top level and demand that much and get that much out of players is exceptional.
Yeah, we know the hours managers put in, but if you spend any time with Pep Guardiola, you know how intense he is and how he never switches off. To do that at his level for 1,000 games with your managerial hat.
Yeah, no, listen, it's an incredible, especially the way he does it, and you can see he's thinking all the time, and his mind's ticking over, and it is easier when you've won a lot of games, mind, to the less stress levels than if you're not winning. But I just think over time he just constantly evolves. His teams always look a little bit different. He's got his principles that he sticks to, but he's always looking for the next little kind of leg up, if you like. Is it wingers? Is it fullbacks wide? Is it fullbacks high inside? Is it fullbacks in midfield? There's always something that he brings different over time, and it almost feels like he's built another team with this one for me over a period of last season and building up towards this. And they're starting to click into gear and looking dangerous. And I think you'll get as much reward and satisfaction if this team go on to achieve something as if he probably has throughout his time at City, because he's had to dig deep. Last season, when you look back at some of the one of the runs they had over 10 or 12 games to then come and put a team together to then some of them players were getting questioned at that point. Now all of a sudden they're looking like they're challenging right at the top of the league. I think he'll take a lot of satisfaction from a coaching point of view.
Because you could argue, couldn't you, this could be his best ever achievement. I mean, he took over a great Barcelona team, he took over a great Bayern team, he took over a great Manchester City team. I mean, they were right at the top when he was... But then, to rebuild something like he's done, he's never had to do that in his career. No. And you could say that this would be his biggest challenge. And sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4 years to rebuild a team. But if he did it so soon, that would be one hell of an achievement.
And to go within 4 points of Arsenal today, going into the international break, how significant's that in terms of that title challenge, even in November?
Yeah. I think it's very significant. I think none of the teams, whether it's Liverpool or Arsenal, would want City chasing them. They have experience in chasing or leading, so whatever the back end of the season poses for them, they'll be ready for it. They can draw on past experiences and leaders within the group that have gone through that process. So, yeah, Arsenal obviously will be focused on what they need to do, because if they win their remaining games, they're in control of their own destiny. But again, you'll keep one eye on City because you know if any slips that they were there.
And for Liverpool, 8 points, only in November, but given the inconsistency we've just been talking about, they can't afford it to get much bigger, can they?
No, they can't. I mean, 8 points is a big number, but it is early on in the season, so it's not all over yet. And the positives they can draw on is they've not been poor all season. They've put in some really good performances. And you look at some of the defeats. I mean, they lost away at Chelsea. Stamford Bridge is never an easy place to go. They lost to Manchester United. They lost to Manchester City. I mean, 3 good teams. You know, you're not guaranteed to win against any of those. And they've put in some good performances as well. They beat Arsenal. You know, they've shown that they can still play to a high level. Of course, in the Champions League, they've been impressive as well. So it's in there. It's absolutely in there. It's not like they're falling off a cliff and all of a sudden they can't play football anymore. You know, they're still performing on occasions. They've just got to find the consistency.